everybody. Welcome back to Elegies. I think we are close to the end of the game, but I'm still not sure. We found the laborer in the last episode, so let's see what's going on, if we can end this game today, or if we have a big showdown with Dr. Laurent.
I remember this place. This is where my dad worked. But it's not.
She knits her eyebrows together in concentration before floating off in another direction. She disappears through the pristine white door in the far corner, and I follow at a much slower pace, wishing once more that I hadn't left my cane behind in the emergency room. I reach the door and find it locked, rattling the metal handle a few times in frustration.
Hey, Aya, can you come back out here? I can't get in!
There's no response. I cast my gaze toward the keypad next to the door. It has the same 3x3 setup of numbers, 1 to 9, that old cell phones used to have, complete with 3 smaller letters at the top of each number. Well, at least it's not the same kind of sci-fi retina scanner. Maybe I can just try something. Remembering the password to the backup folder on the tablet, I peer closer at the numbers to see which correspond to the letters of my best friend's name.
Well, here goes nothing.
I type in 202327225 and then hit the little green button to enter the code. The keypad responds with a cheerful tone, and I hear some kind of locking mechanism thunk.
Man, this guy is creepy and terrible at cybersecurity.
Yes, he is!
What kind of top secret researcher uses the same password twice?
It's so hilarious. But to be honest, I think I do the same. I mutter to myself as I heave the heavy door open to find a well-decorated but chaotically messy office behind it. My friend is there, her form slightly indistinct as she hovers over her back to me in front of the desk.
Aya, what's up?
That wasn't the lab on the videos.
She speaks in monotone without turning to face me.
As soon as I got here, I knew. The memories came flooding back. Walking to the lab with my dad, wearing a visitor's badge I got from security, taking in all the sights of the place he disappeared to every morning. Him showing me his workstation, then telling me to be on my best behavior as he was really busy and he sent me away with no Alani.
Her voice begins to regain some emotion as she recounts her memories of the father she lost.
And then the other times later on when I stopped by from school to say hi, even though I wasn't supposed to. They knew me. They let me in because I was Dr. Faraj's daughter. Sometimes in the summer, I brought his lunch.
The words get shaky, and she pauses for a moment as if to regain her composure.
It all happened there in the lab. I remember it all as soon as I saw it. But I didn't feel that way watching those videos. That wasn't the same lab.
But
I don't want to interrupt her melancholy reminiscence, but I'm a little confused, not to mention slightly anxious about whoever Dr. Taylor might be calling on the phone. We could be on a tight timer here before security shows up to escort us out.
this is Dr. Lawrence's lab, right? So why would he be recording his videos in a different lab? You're sure it wasn't just seeing it from an unfamiliar angle, or...
No, I'm sure, Zach. There's more. I think I can feel it. All those years before I met you, Zach, I never tried to leave the hospital. It made sense to me all this time, but ever since I saw that video, I've been asking myself, Why? I could have gone anywhere. I could have gone searching for other people like me, or just people who could see me more. I could have seen the world. Nothing was stopping me. Nothing except the sense that this place was where I belonged. Even when I left with you, and I wanted to, I wanted us to stay together and have more adventures. It felt like, on some level, that something was wrong. I told myself it was just anxiety, uncertainty about making a big change in my life. But now, I think maybe it was something more.
I take a tentative step toward her, wishing I had a better way to express my support.
I came back here some nights, you know? Back in the beginning, when we were living with Aunt Claire, I'd sit up while you were asleep, drifting aimlessly down the streets. And then I'd find myself back here, staring up at the lights in the darkness. Like something was pulling me back.
She never talked much about the details of her nighttime journeys back then. I never knew.
And tonight, as we started getting closer to this lab, I started to feel that pull getting stronger. I don't think it was just comfort and familiarity that kept me in this place for so long, Zach. I think a part of me has always been here.
Her body?
And somehow, I know it's close by. But we haven't quite reached it yet.
So, you're saying you can tell where...
Struggling to comprehend all this new information, I search for a delicate way to put the next part of this question and fail.
where your body is?
I think so? I mean, it's not like it's exact. But I have this feeling that it's somewhere nearby. Maybe
She closes her eyes and slowly drifts toward one side of the room.
this way?
Secret door behind the bookshelf.
Could be.
I step over beside her and give the shelf an experimental shove.
Feels like it's nailed to the wall, though. Could you...
I'm about to suggest she use her ghostly powers to check it out herself, but she anticipates the question and shakes her head.
Whatever's in there, I don't want to go alone.
I nod in understanding.
Okay, let's look for a switch or something. And tell me right away if you get any more... feelings, okay?
Will do, Detective.
Aya flits to the opposite side of the heavy bookshelf and we both begin searching for clues. I run my hands across the wood of the shelves, picking up a lot of dust, but I don't find any suspicious bumps or grooves. Well, I should have known it would be that easy. Maybe there's a hint in one of the books. I get up on my tiptoes to begin reading the titles on the spines, starting with the very top. They mostly sound like medical textbooks. Some of them even have Laurent's name listed as the author. I guess he's a pretty successful guy. But nothing that strikes me as an obvious clue, unless...
No. It couldn't be. Could it?
What?
My eyes reach a lower shelf where the books are beginning to transition from titles like Principles of Neuroscience to a few that sound a bit more literary. And right there, between an anthology of early medieval poetry and the complete works of Shakespeare, I see it. Invitations to Farewell, a book of elegies. Elegies. I reach up and try to slide the book off the shelf. It catches halfway, and I hear a faint click that warns me to step back. Yeah, step back, Zach, or else you get crushed by a book. Not that we want to be crushed by books. A moment later, the bookshelf slowly swings out like a door, stretching along the office floor as it moves.
No way!
Beyond it is another much larger darkened room.
This guy really can't resist a bit of drama.
I guess maybe that's part of why he practically became a supervillain. Plenty of opportunities to put together cheesy secret lairs. Aya looks at me, tears still in her eyes.
Thank you, Zach.
Hey, it was nothing.
All I did was look at some books. I do plenty more to help my friend. And before the end of the night, I probably will.
Let's see what's on the other side.
Oh? The area behind the hidden door looks so much like my old hospital room that I shiver in instinctive discomfort as we cross the threshold. It's bigger, of course, with all manner of mysterious mechanics around the edges of it that I've never seen before. But the rhythm of the blinking lights on their tiny displays is sickeningly familiar. Same rhythm that used to feel like it was beating into my brain when I tried to sleep with all those little lights hammering against my eyelids. And the bed beside an IV drip in the center of the room could almost be exactly the same one where I spent all those painful sleepless nights. As I slowly approach it, I half expect to see myself, big cast on my leg, bandages all over my body, still laying half dead in this building, as if the night my parents died had never passed, and all of the trauma that had followed was the fever dream of a dying man. I meet my own grace. I imagine, and then I wake up in some kind of afterlife. A hell that looks just like that awful room. But it's not me on the bed this time. I see that once my dragging feet have finally brought me close enough to make out the details, the girl. Or maybe I should say a young woman. Her face is drawn and gaunt, her thin body dwarfed by such a loose-fitting hospital gown that she almost looks like a small child. But there's a hint of maturity to the prominent bone structure of her pale features that makes me think she could be older than she first appears. She could be about 19, young woman who should be studying at college or working at her first job, going out with her friends on weekends and getting a taste of independent life. Instead, she is lying unconscious in a hospital bed in a hidden network of laboratories beneath the city. Her long hair is matted and tangled as if no one's taken much care of it in years. It's dark is where it forms a stark contrast by falling against her pale and sickly face, but toward its dry and knotted ends it becomes a faded blonde, like someone bleached it once, years ago, and then never got it cut. Like she's been laying here like this for about 5 years.
Is that me?
I look back at Aya, where she lingers in the doorway, her form shaky and indistinct.
Yeah, I think it's you. I'm sorry.
She floats across the floor toward me, then her movements even more unnatural than usual, as if she's being pulled by an unseen force. And I wonder if she's been struggling to resist that force the whole time she hung back behind me, because of how afraid she was what she might see. When she comes face to face with herself, she doesn't speak, just lets out a little cry that breaks my heart. And then, gently, she reaches down to brush her fingers against the sunken cheek of the tragic woman on the bed. Her fingertips sink right through, and I know how cold they must feel on the woman's skin. This woman can feel anything at all, but she doesn't stir. Her shadowed eyelids stay shut. Aya's shoulders tremble with emotion.
She's breathing.
The movements of her chest are barely perceptible, but they are there.
You're breathing.
My attempt to correct myself doesn't sound any less wrong.
All these machines. The IV drip.
I gesture it around surroundings, even though Aya isn't looking at me.
She's alive. You're alive. You've been alive all this time.
But I.
Aya sighs and crumples down into a kneeling position, hunched over the bed that contains her, impossible physical form.
I can't.
Her shoulders are still shaking.
I don't know what to do. I was hoping that maybe you'd be right. And I could just go back.
She looks up at me, her face streaked with spectral tears. The resemblance between her and the thinner and older version on the bed is uncanny.
I don't know how. I thought maybe it would just be instinctive, but it's not. And look at her. At me.
She turns back to meet the lidded eyes of the comatose young woman.
She looks awful, Snack. She looks almost as dead as I am. And Dr. Lauren just left her like this all these years. Keeping her alive, but doing nothing to take care of her. She looks so weak. Even if I could somehow, go back into my body.
Her voice cracks as she stumbles over her words.
How long would I even survive?
She puts her head down on the starched white hospital sheets, and I wish I knew what to say. But before I get a chance to speak, another voice breaks through the silence. A deep voice that I had hoped and prayed I'd never hear again.
Well. Look who we have here, Mr. Kid.
I guessed. Chills running down my spine.
If it isn't our old friend, Mr. Smith.
No, it was Mr. Gilbert, wasn't it, Mr. Wint?
Ah, I do believe you are correct, Mr. Kid. Oh, my mistake. Mr. Gilbert, perhaps you could enlighten us as to exactly what you're doing here.
My heart pounds as I whirl around to face the shady men in dark suits, outstretching my arms instinctively as if to protect Aya. Both of her.
You! What are you two doing here? You should be in jail!
Mr. Wind responds with a low chuckle.
Ah, jail. The thing about jail, Mr. Gilbert, is that one cannot simply be thrown there without evidence of a serious crime. We did both spend a few uncomfortable nights in a holding cell at the police station, did we not, Mr. Kid?
Yeah, really uncomfortable. Especially when you've got a bump on your head they won't give you any painkillers for.
Sorry.
But eventually, in absence of any concrete proof of our alleged misdeeds,
He pauses and gives a dramatic shrug.
They had to let us go, didn't they, Mr. Kid?
Sure did, Mr. Wint.
As the two men advance towards me, I look to Aya for a reaction. Aya until she might be able to get about another way out of here would be really useful right now. But she still looks lost and confused, hunched over the body on the bed, eyes darting between it and our enemies. I might have to handle this one on my own.
So, like the fine, upstanding citizens we are, we went back to work.
And what do you know? We just got an emergency call from our boss about an intruder trying to get into his laboratory.
Thanks for tattling on us, Dr. Taylor.
Imagine our surprise when that intruder turned out to be such a familiar face.
Imagine.
The two of them have moved close enough to Aya and me to be seriously intimidating, but they aren't brandishing weapons or anything just yet. Maybe I can still find a way past them.
So, you mentioned your boss. That's Dr. Lauren, right?
I rack my brain for ideas that might keep them talking for a while. Maybe that will give Aya time to recover and help formulate a plan. Mr. Kid reacts with a roll of his eyes.
I told you before, I don't know his name. That's not how this business works.
Okay, but he's the guy in charge of this lab, right?
Kid shrugs.
Sure.
Well, don't you want to know what they do here? What you and your partner are working so hard to protect?
I step aside and point at the hospital bed behind me.
Look, your boss that you're so loyal to, he did this! He kidnapped an innocent girl and subjected her to twisted experiments! And that's not even mentioning all the people he had to kill to keep it all covered up! He's a monster!
I stop to take a deep breath after getting a little carried away with that tirade. Mr. Kid turns to look at his partner for a moment and then gives me another shrug.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, they are monster too. I can't imagine hearing all that and not being at least a little bit shocked.
What do you think I'm going to do, huh? Quit my job and go straight because I feel bad for a little girl in a coma? I've killed people. I get paid for it.
And paid quite well indeed.
The coldness in both of their eyes makes me shudder and I find myself backing away, almost bumping into the hospital bed.
Is that what you're here for? Are you here to kill me?
The man with the deep voice chuckles.
Not at the moment. Not necessarily. But we are here to detain you, Mr. Gilbert. So, we'd very much appreciate your cooperation.
Any ideas?
I whisper in desperation.
I don't know. I'm sorry, Zach. I can't.
Her shaky voice threads off as the frightening duo advances once more.
What was that you said just now? I didn't quite catch it. Did you, Mr. Wynn?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Kid.
Well, if he knows what's good for him, maybe it was something like, yes, sir, of course, I'll cooperate.
No chance! I'll never cooperate with you!
It might be futile, but I don't know what else to do. I flick my eyes back and forth between them, searching for a way around before making a desperate dive to the side. But it's no use. One of them leaps right out alongside me, tackling me to the ground and putting a knee on my chest to hold me in place. It knocks the wind out of me, and I can do little except struggle for breath as the other man leans down too, pressing an uncomfortably sweet-smelling rag to my face.
Zach!
Is this chloroform?
Zach, get up! You can do it! Get up and fight them!
Maybe I'm delirious from the truck and the shortage of air, but it almost strikes me as funny. Serves me right, huh? Chloroform.
Come on, Zach! You've beaten them before! You can do it again!
Wait, didn't Zeke say something about chloroform? Like, I'd have to breathe it in for like 5 minutes or something? Maybe I can still.
Fight! Fight them, Zach!
If I could only just breathe. Oh. No!
Hey, soccer's on.
It takes a lot of effort to open my eyes. I feel like I've been sleeping for days. What? Is this a dream? When I finally manage it, I'm greeted with the familiar sight of my aunt leaning against the wall of my hospital room. The TV remote is dangling from her hand, and Aya is perched on the edge of her favorite chair by the screen, watching a man in a red jersey line up a penalty kick.
You like soccer, right, Zach? I remember going to some of your games when you were little.
Yeah.
I swim through a thick fog of memories in order to recall a hint of the joy I once felt running through the class alongside my teammates. How long ago was that? How many years?
Yeah, I used to play soccer all the time. I guess. Maybe not anymore.
I look down at my broken leg, encased in a thick cast on the hospital bed.
Hey, don't look so down, kid. The doctor said the surgery went really well, remember? Your leg will be healed in no time. And then you'll be scoring goals left and right, just like that one guy.
My aunt's total inability to remember any soccer player's name throws a chuckle from my dry and parched lips.
Which guy?
Oh, you know, the guy.
The guy! Of course!
The one from that movie with the cute British girl. Kick it like Kramer.
I shake my head at her nonsensical attempt.
You mean bend it like Beckham?
Wasn't it Kick It Like Beckham?
Yeah, that one. You'll be like that guy, John Beckham.
It's David Beckham.
Yeah. I can't resist correcting her, even as it begins to dawn to me that she might be messing with me for a laugh.
Really? I could have sworn it was John.
Actually, I knew a guy named John Beckham.
Aya pipes up from her position by the TV, which is now playing a commercial for cereal.
He was in here for a long time after a car accident. For a while there, the doctors weren't sure if he'd make it. But eventually, he made a full recovery. So, you see, Zach, when you get better and you go back to living your life and doing the things you enjoy, you really will be like John Beckham. I don't think he played soccer, though.
I open my mouth for a moment, ready to reply to this barely relevant anecdote with something sarcastic. Then I remember that Claire didn't hear any of it and would have no idea what I was talking about. So I settled for just giving Aya an incredulous look.
Oh man, I hate how many commercials there are these days. You can't watch anything for more than 5 minutes before someone's trying to sell you something.
Yes,
Back in my day, you could just enjoy the shows once in a while.
You had TV back in your day?
my aunt snorts in amusement and shakes her head.
Watch it, kid.
Yeah, Zach, what is it with you and calling people old all the time? One day, you're gonna be old for real, and then you'll know how it feels.
Am I? Am I ever going to be old? Aya's comment awakens some subconscious sense deep down that I'm not going to make it that far. The more I think about it, the more I'm confused about why that thought popped into my mind. Sure, my life was in danger for a while there, but I'm doing better now, aren't I? They were both just talking about me being on the road to recovery. It's not like I have some kind of terminal illness. Just a badly broken leg and some burns that really aren't looking too bad anymore. So, why do I still feel like I'm destined for death somehow?
Still, I guess I should buy a TV for the new place, right? You're going to need some way to play your video games.
With my mind still trying to unravel itself, it takes me a moment to fully process what Aunt Claire's saying. And even once I gather the meaning of the words, there's something about the whole that still confuses me. As if I'm trying to communicate imperfectly in a second language.
New place?
Yeah. I told you I signed the lease on that townhouse I was looking at, right? It's nothing special, but there's plenty of space to relax in the living room. You'll be able to sit on the couch there and press buttons to shoot the bad guys at your heart's content.
That sounds good.
My lips are moving, somehow contributing the bare minimum to the conversation, while conflicting thoughts still race around my head. A part of me says, of course, the new place! I'm moving in with Aunt Claire when I get out of the hospital. It's nice of her to put so much effort into it for me. But another part, an aspect of my memory that feels fractured and harder to understand, tells me that this isn't right. That I've been to that new place already. I've been and gone, and I'm never going back. This isn't right. This doesn't fit. It's out of order. I feel a chill as that thought crosses my mind, and along with it, the walls of the hospital room seems to shadow around me. Then I remember. I'm not in that hospital room anymore. Lying in that bed, watching the TV, chatting with Aya and Aunt Claire. It was all so long ago. But despite that, I haven't moved very far. I'm in the same building, but deep below that old prison I'm confined in a new one created by a raving madman. Unlike in that old memory, I can move my legs a little bit, but not my arms. Those murderers seems to have handcuffed me to a hospital bed while I was unconscious. I don't see them now, though. I think they'd be keeping an eye on me. Guess maybe they are outside the door, back in that office or the other lab, plotting their next move. I don't see Aya anymore either. Wonder where she went. Is she eavesdropping on them? Or looking around the rest of the hospital for some way to escape? The strangest thing about all this is that Aunt Claire hasn't moved. That. Remember that. I remember her screaming at me to run in the last moments before a gunshot ripped through the air. I remember the smell of her blood. But the specter of her is still lingering inside me, just as it was in that misplaced vision of the past. Just like in that dream I had. How long ago was it now? 2 nights? 3? I guess that's what this is. Still dreaming. Or hallucinating from whatever they used to knock me out. Because I still see her standing there, clear as day. I see her turning to me with a smile on her face that sends a jolt of aching pain right through my chest.
Hey, kid, weird spot you've gotten yourself into, isn't it? Where are we, anyway? Don't tell me this is your buddy Ivan's house.
I can't help but chuckle in response.
You know Ivan isn't real, right? I made him up.
Yeah, I know. I knew the second you stumbled over his name like you were making it up on the spot. But I also knew that you wouldn't lie to me unless it was about something you thought was really important to keep to yourself. So I figured I'd let you handle your own business, and you could talk to me about it when you were ready. Was that the right thing to do?
My aunt tilts her head away from me, wistful expression on her face, almost as if she's looking to someone else for their advice or approval.
I don't know. I never expected to be a parent. Never thought about it until I saw you lying in that hospital bed, all broken and burned, and knew I was all you had left.
Oh,
You were all I had, too. All that was left of my big brother. And I figured we'd stick together from then on.
tears roll silently down my cheeks as she turns her gaze to face me again.
You ready to talk about it now?
Yeah.
Even if this isn't real, I feel like it might be my last chance to really talk to anyone. And before we go on, we keep this for the next time. And I'm close to tears right now myself. Oh gosh, I hope we get a good ending at this. Let me know in the comments if you think we will get a good ending. I think we did our best to make Zack survive most of the shit. And yeah, my dearest, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you want to see how it goes on, and we see each other next time. Until then, bye bye!